These women have fought the most horrific fight that no woman should have to fight, and they did it by banding together and never giving up. And that's what we did by fighting so hard against the most powerful people in the world, even the President of the United States, in order to make this vote happen today. I was called a traitor by a man that I fought for 6 years for. And I gave him my loyalty for free. I won my first election without his endorsement, beating 8 men in a primary. And I've never owed him anything, but I fought for him for the policies and for America first. And he called me a traitor for standing with these women and refusing to take my name off the discharge petition. Let me tell you what a traitor is. A traitor is an American that serves foreign countries and themselves. A patriot is an American that serves the United States of America and Americans like the women standing behind me. And I want to tell you that this only became possible today because the American people whom we serve as representatives here in Congress demanded that this vote happen, and they put more pressure on every single elected politician in this city than has ever been put on them. And today you are going to see probably a unanimous vote in the House to release the Epstein files, but the real fight will happen after that. While I want to see every single name released so that these women don't have to live in fear and intimidation, which is something I've had a small taste of in just the past few days, just a small taste. They've been living it for years. But the real test will be, will the Department of Justice release the files? Or will it all remain tied up in investigations? Will the CIA release the files? Will a judge in New York release the information? That's information that needs to come out. And will the list of names that these women privately hold, and they hold it because of their fear in their heart of what would happen to them if they release it on their own, will that list of names come out? That's the real test. So I want to thank Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna for your bravery in doing something that is much needed in America, crossing the political aisle that has become bigger than the Grand Canyon in America. But these men crossed that aisle on behalf of these women. And that is more of what is needed today in America than ever in our history. So thank you so much. Who's next? Ro, I'll let you introduce.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Marjorie, Representative Green, for your courage and your words. Before I introduce our survivors, I just want to say that they will make their statements, and then you can ask questions of Representative Massie, myself, or Representative Green, but we do not want people asking questions and cross-examining the survivors. They're here to tell their stories, and they should be heard by the American people with respect. Of course, Congressman Massie, myself, and Congresswoman Green would be happy to answer questions after that. With that, let me introduce the survivor who's helped organize a lot of this, and will be telling her own story and introducing the other survivors. Haley Robson, thank you for your courage and leadership.
Absolutely, thank you all. Oh, good morning. A little chilly coming from Florida, not used to it. I want everybody to take a look. I know everybody sees us today as grown adults, but we are fighting for the children that were abandoned and left behind in the reckoning. This is who you're fighting for. This is who Congress is fighting for. This is who the House of Representatives are fighting for, and hopefully the Senate will fight for us too. I want to kick this off right, and I want to address Marjorie Taylor Greene, Thomas Massie, and Ro Khanna. I want to express my gratitude for all three of you, and I know, Rakana, we spoke earlier. This is an incredible thing that I'm watching as a Republican, and this is non-political, but for you to go against your own party and to be ostracized, there's no place for political violence, there's no place for intimidation, and I can say firsthand, stepping out against Epstein and his crimes against children, we have all experienced that ourselves. So for you to knowingly put yourselves at risk and put your career at risk is unbelievable to watch, and we are so grateful. I also want to make a proposition for Marjorie Taylor Greene, because you've been an advocate for this. If you decide to read those names on the House floor for immunity, I will be more than happy, no security needed. I will stand beside you. I will hold your hand. I will hold your coat in solidarity with you. And on top of that, I did talk to Jayapal, who said she would be more than happy to read those names too on the floor with all of us. It's time that we put the political agendas and party affiliations to the side. This is a human issue. This is about children. There is no place in society for exploitation, sexual crimes, or exploitation of women in society. There's no room for it, guys. We're not having it. And to the President of the United States of America, who is not here today, I want to send a clear message to you. While I do understand that your position has changed on the Epstein files, and I'm grateful that you have pledged to sign this bill, I can't help to be skeptical of what the agenda is. So, with that being said, I want to relay this message to you. I am traumatized. I am not stupid. I am traumatized. I am not stupid. You have put us through so much stress, the lockdowns, the halt of these procedures that were supposed to have happened 50 days ago. The Adelita Grijalva who waited to get sworn in, and then get upset when your own party goes against you because what is being done is wrong. It's not right. For your own self-serving purposes, this is America. This is land of the free. Land of the free. In 1863, we have a woman on top of the Capitol building represent freedom. I do not feel free today. I don't know if the women behind me feel free today. So I am begging every member of Congress, every representative, to step up and choose the chaos, choose the survivors, choose the children, protect the children. All children, you protect all of us equally. Thank you very much for your time. Following that, Lisa Phillips will be the next survivor.
Good morning. My name is Lisa Phillips. It's an honor to stand here again for something America is finally united on: the immediate release of the entire Epstein files. In a divided nation, this is one demand we all share. Last time I stood here, I made a promise to all survivors watching. If those in power refused to release the truth, we would start uncovering it ourselves. For anyone who doubted that moment has already arrived. Since that day, more survivors across the country and around the world have reached out. Text, emails, DMs, firsthand accounts, and evidence. Many are women who were abused or trafficked through the international modeling pipeline Epstein built, promising visas, apartments, opportunities, futures, while exploiting their dreams for abuse. Most are still terrified to speak publicly because the men involved are powerful. They're connected, and as we know, they're protected. For too long, survivors have watched others speak for us. And while we are grateful for our allies in Congress on both sides, we've realized something. This fight belongs to us. We lived it, and we know the truth. And we will not wait quietly for institutions to decide when we're allowed to speak. The survivors now coming forward have entrusted us with their stories. We are sharing that information with the proper authorities, and when it can safely be made public, it will be. So today, we are launching something historic. The first national, survivor-led political movement in America. Nonpartisan, laser-focused, on exposing the systems, the loopholes, power structures, and silencing mechanisms that have protected predators for far too long. We are stepping directly into the halls of power, into the political arena. We will help rewrite laws that failed us and build protections for our nation's children together, targeted by sexual exploitation. Together, today, survivors begin our own fight, the survivor revolution. And we intend to change this nation for the better. If you're a survivor who wants to join us, please reach out. And to anyone who benefits from the current system, intentionally or not, remember this. Alone, yes, we are afraid. But together, we are feared. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I am Jenna Lisa Jones, and just as Haley, I would just like to give a little reminder that this was me at 14 years old. I was a child. I was in 9th grade. I was hopeful for life and what the future had held for me. He stole a lot from me at 14. So just a little reminder there for everybody. Sorry. So, I just want to start out by saying thank you for all of you for being here today. I want to start by expressing my deepest gratitude to the members of Congress who have stood with us, the survivors, in demanding the transparency and justice. Your support is a signal that this institution can still serve the American people. This issue was never one that should have divided us the way it has. In fact, it should have united us. Sexual abuse is not a Republican issue. It is not a Democratic issue. It is also not a hoax. We are here as American survivors of a man who used his wealth and power to hurt young girls and women. The world should see the files to know who Jeffrey Epstein was and how the system catered to him and failed us. Emotionally, this process has been distressing. First, the administration said it would release everything and then applauded President Trump for that. Then it fought to release nothing. Now that checks and balances of our democracy have worked and the bill is getting passed to release the files, we are hearing the administration say they intend to investigate various Democrats who were friends with Epstein. I beg you, President Trump, please stop making this political. It is not about you, President Trump. You are our president. Please start acting like it. Show some class. Show some real leadership. Show that you actually care about the people other than yourself. I voted for you, but your behavior on this issue has been a national embarrassment. It is time to take the honest, moral ground and support the release of these files, not to weaponize pieces of the files against random political enemies that did nothing wrong, but to understand who Epstein's friends were, who covered for him, what financial institutions allowed his trafficking to continue, who knew what he was doing but was too much of a coward to do anything about it. Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell were able to recruit and abuse young girls and women. Then the country will learn nothing, and has horrible history will repeat itself if we do not do something about this. Thank you to the brave congressmen and women who have stood by us and recognized our side is the American side, and we should all be proud once again to be Americans. I want to just extend my thank you so much to all three of you, very, very much. The first time we were here, listening to people yell shame at you, and when she was here in support of us, really hit home and spoke some volumes, and I just very much appreciative of your support, and we stand by you. Don't let any of them bully you. We're here for you. Thank you, guys.
Wow. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all so much for coming together today and taking the time to listen to us. Your presence means the world, and it shows commitment to understanding and supporting survivors and Americans. I stand before you today with a heavy heart. I originated from Brazil, and I came to the United States when I was 8 years old. I was only 14 when I first encountered Jeffrey Epstein, and my daughter is now almost at that age. At 14, the only things she should be concerned with are going to school, practicing at her cheerleading competitions, and enjoying her time with her friends and family. She should not have to bear the burden of worrying about being manipulated or exploited. At this age, she is still a child, and no child should ever have to face such threats. I also want to address a troubling statement made by a prominent figure on a major platform who suggested that a 14-year-old should not be considered a victim of pedophilia. This is a dangerous and incorrect notion. When we talk about how children at 14 should still be treated as children, I ask you to look at the young people around you. Remember when you were that age? Do you think you should have been responsible for being groomed? Put yourselves in our position when we were young. I'm here today not to just share my story, but to call on all of you to help make a difference. We need to support to push for the Transparency Act and release the Epstein files. Please reach out to your Congress members and senators and urge them to support this crucial legislation. The truth is something that we all deserve, and it is vital for safety and protection of the future of generations. Think about all the young people in your life, your daughters, your nieces, your friends. Let's stand together and ensure that they grow up in a world where they are safe and valued. I often wondered, why did this happen to me? And then I realized, God only gives you what you can handle. I'm here for a purpose, and that purpose is to make a difference today. So, let's stand together to protect our children and our peace. Thank you.
Good morning. I want to say a few things before I begin. My speech may not be great. It was thrown together last minute as I only came here, decided Friday, when one of us, who has spoken several times, decided she couldn't come because of the threats. She was too scared. So I want to say, when you threaten one of us, you're threatening all of us. Yep. We are together now, and that's never going to change. This is me at 16 when I met Jeffrey Epstein. Now I'll start. It is an honor to stand here before the American people. However, I shouldn't have to stand here at all. I'm here because as a child, I was pulled into Jeffrey Epstein's world, a world built on exploitation and manipulation of innocence and the protection of powerful men and women who believed that they were untouchable. Today, we'd rather be preparing for the holidays. We'd rather be at home with our families, baking with our children and decorating the Christmas tree as we try to move past this horrific moment that has impacted our entire adult lives. However, that's not possible because it's become something it should have never been, political and sensationalized. The truth is simple. We were victimized as children and failed repeatedly by the very system that was supposed to protect us. That's why we stand here today, to demand justice and accountability, not just for Epstein and his crimes, but for every predator and every enabler who participates in or protects abusers. The Epstein case was gravely mishandled consistently and deliberately over many years. Epstein could have been stopped decades ago, but instead he was able to continue his abuse, even during his sweetheart deal, yes, with his ankle monitor on and beyond. A deal that protected him and silenced us. While I was a child fighting to survive what happened to us, federal prosecutors were negotiating ways to shield powerful adults. And the failures didn't stop there. Our civil cases were met with hostile judges and delay tactics, intimidation, and PR campaigns designed to smear us in the public eye. We were treated as problems to be managed instead of victims to be protected. Today, something has changed. Individually, our voices were whispers. Together, they've become impossible to ignore. We are encouraged to see elected officials from both parties, thank you, come together and finally take action to release the files. I'll leave it there. Thank you.
Good job. Yes, Ashley.
Good morning. My name is Wendy, and I'm standing here today with a truth that still scares me to say out loud. I'm going to put this down because I can't hold both, as you guys saw, but that was me when I was 14 when I met Jeffrey Epstein. None of us here signed up for this political warfare. We never asked to be dragged into battles between people who never protected us in the first place. We are exhausted from surviving the trauma and then surviving the politics that swirl around it. When survivors travel to speak, to advocate, to stand for the truth, we do it with our own money, from our own pockets, carrying our own fear, shaking in our own bodies. There is no team, there is no paycheck. It's just us hoping our voices make a difference. And it puts a pit right in your stomach because you know you're standing on the right side of history. Yes. But standing on the right side of history is not a comfortable place to be. Yep. It never has been. And in a sick, heartbreaking way, it's an honor to show up, an honor to speak here, and an honor to stand in light when the world tried to keep us in the dark. And what keeps me standing is, even with all this fear, I have a 14-year-old daughter myself, the same age I was. And when I look at her, I see the little girl I used to be, the one that no one protected. My greatest fear in this entire world is history repeating itself. And I will do anything, absolutely anything, to make sure that she has to never be one of these girls standing in front of a crowd like this today in her life. So today, from the safest and bravest places inside myself, I am asking Congress, please pass the bill. Please release the records. Stop making survivors fight alone for the truth that should have protected us in the first place. To the representatives that support us, thank you. Thank you for standing beside survivors so we don't have to face this fear alone. Thank you for choosing what is right over what is easy. And every survivor who is scared right now, your fear is real. Your courage is real, and even though we're terrified, we keep showing up. Because someone has to tell the truth. Someone has to protect these children. We deserve safety then, we deserve it now. And we are done being afraid so others can stay comfortable. So with that, I want to say thank you guys for having us. And I just hope that people can remember that as survivors, our story never leaves us, but the choice that you make to pass this bill, your career is in front of you. And that choice will follow you. Everybody will know. So thank you.
Beautiful. Good job, Wendy. Well said, Wendy. You're incredible.
Hello, everybody. My name is Danny Bensky. This was me at 17 years old. Coming from the dance world, I was recruited in 2004 after a systematic breaking down where Epstein leveraged my mother's brain tumor scans. He threatened me to withhold care for her. He trapped me in a year-long cycle of abuse. The last time I was here in Washington, D.C., I talked about being a part of this beautiful mosaic of women behind me, and they are exactly that. They are a beautiful mosaic of energy and passion and love and life. I am one story of 1,000. You think of that number, 1,000. I spoke of how big our hopes and dreams once were, and I talked about how they were completely shattered at the hands of Ghislaine Maxwell. and Jeffrey Epstein. Now I look at this amazing community behind me. They are survivor sisters. We are together. We stand together in this. And I realize that we are a representation of women across America. We come from different backgrounds. We have different religions. We are different races, different creeds, different ethnicities. We have different political affiliations. Some of us don't want to be political at all. And yet we stand here together for this cause. We're united in the call for transparency, complete transparency, to find justice. Justice for our younger selves. These pictures that you see, they're real people. I wish I could go back and give my former self a hug and say, this matters and it's going to change, and mean it. We are standing here for justice for the youth of tomorrow, and justice for those who are no longer with us, like the beautiful, brave Virginia Giuffre. We understand that the road is long, but I implore you to stay the course, please. Living in an age where you can get news in 10-second clips on your phone, I know that this is a big task for us, but it's a very personal one for survivors. It's a very personal one for us as a country. So I'd like to ask you to try something right now. I'd like everybody to close their eyes or soften their gaze just for a moment, and I want everybody to think of a child that is close to them between the ages of 14 and 18 years old. It could be your daughter, it could be your niece, it could be a friend's kids, it could be you at a former age, it could be your mother at that age. But really envision that for a second, 14 to 18 years old. Once you think of that person, I want you to think about what they feel like. What is their energy? What do they smell like? What sound do they make when they laugh? Really think about that child just for a moment. Now I want you to picture a pair of giant looming wooden doors and an overbearing marble landing. Those are the doors to Jeffrey Epstein's house. Do you allow that child to enter or not? If the answer is yes, you would allow entrance. You stand with predators. If the answer is no, then congratulations, you're on the right side of justice. Now you have homework. I am calling for the American people. You have homework. Call your congressional leaders. Call your senators. Please support this bill. Let's get it all released. Thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Annie Farmer, and this is a photo of me and my sister Maria Farmer around the time I was 16 and she was 25. That's how old we were when we were abused by Epstein and Maxwell. Survivors have repeatedly stated that our pursuit of transparency and justice is a nonpartisan issue. But given the political noise surrounding this case, I just want to remind people of some of the facts. In 1996, when my sister Maria bravely blew the whistle on this group by reporting to the FBI what Epstein and Maxwell did to both of us, they hung up on the phone on her, and there was no follow-up of any kind. Bill Clinton was president. In 2006, the FBI came to us, finally interviewed us, and asked us both to be witnesses against Epstein. We were very anxious, but we agreed. And then we didn't hear back from them due to their infamous sweetheart deal. George W. Bush was president. In 2015, when the DOJ was sent FOIA requests for Maria's FBI files, and they were denied, as they have been many times, Barack Obama was president. In 2019, when Epstein died in prison due to either negligence or foul play, Donald Trump was president. In 2023, Maria's attorneys sent a letter on her behalf to the government requesting an investigation into the repeated law enforcement failures in this case, similar to what was done in the case of Larry Nassar. They declined to do so. Consequently, my sister filed notice that she would be suing the government for failing to uphold its legal, ethical, and moral duties in this case. Joe Biden was president. This year, after campaigning on a pledge to finally release the files, under Trump's second presidency, the DOJ announced they were closing the investigation into Epstein's co-conspirators, and then transferred Ghislaine Maxwell into a prison camp, where it is well documented that she is receiving special treatment. This is not an issue of a few corrupt Democrats or a few corrupt Republicans. This is a case of institutional betrayal. Because these crimes were not properly investigated, so many more girls and women were harmed. My sister, because of her bravery, was repeatedly threatened and lived in fear, with dire consequences for her health and her career. 30 years later, even as oceans of allegations and obvious truths have emerged, the government has still not chosen transparency. This is why we have all come together as one united voice to demand the release of all the Epstein files and to finally bring the truth out of the shadows.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed members of Congress, and everyone gathered here today, I want to start by thanking the three of you. Thank you. It takes a lot of bravery to do what you're doing. We hear you. We see you. It means a lot for you to be here with us, and I know my sister would be incredibly proud. This is the moment she was fighting for and the moment that all survivors are fighting for, so thank you. My name is Sky Roberts, and I stand before you as the brother of Virginia Roberts Giuffre, a warrior, a mother, and a sister whose legacy will forever resonate in the hearts of those who understand the fight against injustice. Today we find ourselves in a place of deep sorrow, shattered by the loss of our beloved sister. Yet, we are honored and privileged to carry her voice forward and continue her relentless fight alongside her fellow survivor sisters. Virginia's story is one that should have been filled with promise, but instead it became a harrowing tale of exploitation and survival. At just 16 years old, she took a job at Mar-a-Lago, believing she had secured a dream summer position. But that dream quickly morphed into a nightmare when Ghislaine Maxwell preyed upon her innocence. This isn't just a story of one girl. It's a story about the insidious nature of power and abuse, a dark chapter in our society that must be told. Virginia was no stranger to trauma. In her memoir, Nobody's Girl, she shares the painful truth that she had already suffered abuse at the hands of our father and a family friend. But what happened next was unfathomable. Epstein and Maxwell didn't just abuse her, they trafficked her to a network of the rich and powerful. Princes, prime ministers, politicians, financiers, and lawyers. These men committed unspeakable acts against her will, and against the will of countless survivors who stand united with us today. Virginia's strength was tested in many ways that most of us can hardly imagine. She was manipulated, coerced, and threatened, forced into complicity in her own devastation. She often spoke of psychological scars that ran deeper than the physical ones. From the start, she wrote, "They manipulated me into participating in behaviors that ate away at me, eroding my ability to comprehend reality and preventing me from defending myself. The most destructive wound they inflicted was that of forced complicity, a betrayal of self that was crafted by her abusers. But I stand here today to declare that their tactics of fear and intimidation did not work. Virginia's spirit could not be broken. She became a beacon of hope, a warrior, fighting not just for herself, but for every survivor who suffered in silence. She said, "I felt it was my duty to stand up to predators like Epstein and Maxwell. I would put my neck on the line to make sure my daughter never has to go through what I had to endure." These survivors, like Virginia, have transformed into mothers and strong women, fierce in the face of adversity. Many of them have daughters the same age they were when they faced their own abuse. They are determined to break the cycle, to shatter the silence that has kept so many in the shadows. Virginia quoted in her memoir, "There I was, as the mother of 3 children. I felt it was my duty to stand up to predators like Epstein and Maxwell. I mentioned to Ellie in particular, her daughter. I would put my neck on the line to make sure she never has to go through what I had to go through. I said, joining Edward's CVRA case, what I would want somebody to do for my daughter or sister and friend. In the end, I said, I was just trying to do the right thing. That's what I felt like I'm doing," I said. "I'm making a small dent in this big world we live in." Well, sissy, you didn't just make a small dent. You made a monumental impact, a resounding statement that echoed across the world. You built an unbreakable wall, a barrier that will protect future generations from the horrors of abuse. As we gather here today, I urge each of you, members of Congress, advocates, and all those who hear this message, to join us in this fight. We demand justice, accountability, and support for survivors. And we keep getting asked this. What does justice mean, you ask? It starts with acknowledgement. That's the first step. Acknowledge in the face of survivors that this happened and that this is true. Your vote carries that weight. My sister is not a political tool for you to use. These survivors are not political tools for you to use. These are real stories, real trauma, and it's time for you to stop just talking about it and act. Vote yes. Virginia's legacy is not just hers. It belongs to all of us who stand against injustice. Together, we will ensure that the voices of survivors are heard, that the truth prevails, and that the horrors of the past are never repeated. Thank you. Thank you for listening, and thank you for standing with us. Together, we will not let Virginia's fight be in vain. Together, we will not let the predators win. Together, we will be the change this world desperately needs. Thank you.
It was so beautiful.
This is me when I met Jeffrey Epstein in 1991. I always share the date when I talk about my story because people rarely acknowledge how long this has actually been going on. And for too long, truth has been buried, survivors have been silenced, and powerful people have been protected. And today we stand in a moment that will decide whether our government still belongs to the American people or to those who prey on them. Because when mountains of evidence and decades of victim reports across 5 administrations still lead to sweetheart deals or no prosecution at all, this isn't just one case gone wrong. It's an institutional failure on a historic scale, and every member of Congress and this administration must answer for that failure. Millions of sexual abuse survivors know the pain of speaking up and watching the institutions that are meant to protect them look away. We're not alone in this. Epstein may be the headline, but the betrayal reaches every corner of our country. And if our justice system can collapse this completely for so long, then Congress cannot pretend that the system is working. Not for us, and not for the generations that will live with the consequences of what they choose now. One long overdue step towards repairing this damage is the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Because without transparency, there's no accountability. Without accountability, there is no justice. And without justice, democracy dies.
Yeah.
So representatives, you have a choice to show millions of Americans whether you stand with us or with the powerful predators that are counting on your complicity. Thank you.
Yeah. Good job.
Good morning. This is me. This was me. My name is Charlene Rochard, and I stand before you today not as a victim of rumor or conspiracy, but as a survivor of Jeffrey Epstein's abuse. Far too long, survivors like me have been dismissed, silenced, are told that our pain was exaggerated or fabricated. Let me be clear. This is not a hoax.
Yes, it's not.
What we endured was real, and it has scarred lives across 5 presidential administrations. The truth has been buried in sealed files and hidden records for far too long. The Epstein Files Transparency Act is not just about survivors. It's about America itself. How can we keep America great if the principles the nation was founded on, that power belongs to the people, is not protected? No one, no matter how wealthy and well-connected, stands above the law. If we cannot face the truth, then we betray the very ideals that defines us as a country. By passing this act, Congress has the chance to prove that truth matters more than privilege,
Yes.
that justice matters more than influence, and that America has the courage to confront even the most uncomfortable realities. This is not just about survivors. It's about every American who believes in accountability, fairness, and the promise of justice. I stand here today not only for myself, but for every survivor of Jeffrey Epstein's abuse who has carried this burden in silence, and for every citizen who believes that justice delayed is justice denied.
Yeah.
I want to thank Representatives Ro Khanna and Thomas Massey for standing with us. Thank you. And I especially want to thank Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. Her unwavering support, her courage to stand with us and demand transparency gives us strength. Thank you. It shows that this fight for accountability is bigger than politics. It's about humanity, justice, and truth. This is about America's future. It's about whether we, the people, will be heard when we have the courage to stand for truth and justice. Our voices are real. Our pain is real. And our demand for justice will not be silenced. Thank you.
Amen. Girl, Charlene. Hello. Good for you, girl. You did amazing.
My name is Laura Bloom McGee. This is my first time speaking publicly about my abuse. As a young woman in New York City, I was pursuing a modeling career and building a life of giving back through my philanthropic work. Instead, I was intentionally groomed and became part of an international model sex trafficking ring that was led by Jeffrey Epstein. I was sexually and mentally abused by Jeffrey Epstein. He used my dreams and vulnerabilities to silence me. Today, I am here to break that silence. Sex trafficking and sexual abuse are crimes against human beings, not political talking points. For too long, Epstein's abuse was an open secret, with his network remained protected. Evil thrives in darkness. We must shine a light on every corner where it hides. Nothing should be off limits in the search for truth. Please vote that everything in the files be released. Let investigations proceed without obstruction. Demand oversight and deliver justice. The government must never side with predators. I come as one survivor, but I stand here for everyone who prayed for me, who believed in me, and who hoped for me. To my fellow survivors, your courage brought me here. We are more than victims. We are mothers, daughters, sisters, friends. This is not a hoax, and we will not be erased. Shame on any elected official who obstructs truth and justice for the American people. Thank you.
Amen, Laura. Yeah, girl.
My name is Liz Stein. In 1994, I was a senior in college, just 21 years old. I had aspirations of attending law school after graduation, and it looked like I had a bright future ahead of me. 1994 was also the year I met Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. My involvement with them changed the trajectory of my entire life. The Epstein files are not about loyalty to any one political party. They're evidence of a crime. We stand here today, victims of the crime of sex trafficking. I'm here today speaking both for my 21-year-old self and for the countless number of people who have experienced sexual violence. When I am asked what I would tell my younger self if I could say something, I say that I would tell myself to tell someone. And if they don't listen, to tell someone else. And to just keep telling until someone listens. And even if nobody listens to you, you should be proud of yourself because you stood in your uncomfortable truth when others could not. And that is true bravery. We stand here today as survivors, part of a sorority that none of us asked to join. We have told our stories over and over and over. Now it's time to see who was listening. We ask that you vote to release the files, all of them, so the victims of this crime can finally see justice. Thank you.
Amen. Yes! Go, girl.
Well, hello, everyone, and I want to first say thank you for your ongoing leadership. I know it must not be easy thing to do, much like it's not easy for us to be doing this, so I guess we're in this together, so thank you so much. I feel like our courage has, we're reflecting, mirroring courage, because that's what it takes to do this, right? So this was me at 22 years old. I was not a child, technically, very young adult. I imagine most of you here can relate to the mindset and to be 22 years old. So today is a good day, and I thank God for that. It's widely and undeniably clear that our current political climate is quite rigid and seemingly at war with one another. This sets a stage. This sets a stage for voices, survivor voices, to get spoken over and drowned out by the political darts whizzing by. Not today, though. Today, our truth and our power have steadily risen up. We are at the peak. Our voices prevail today. Our voices initiated the coming together of both political parties. That's pretty big, I think. Republicans and Democrats, we all stand together today. We all stand together for justice, and we must continue to do so to protect the integrity of our country and our democracy. Truth and justice must prevail. The children today are those that will lead this nation one day. Think about that. What does that mean to each of you? If anyone doubts that this does not directly contribute to the fate of our country and democracy, I challenge you and I urge you to think again. Our voices are a fundamental pillar of future generations. Today, that's what we stand here for. Accountability, action, and justice. Let's get this vote done today. Let's send it through the Senate and straight to President Trump's desk for signing. I'd like to be there that day that he signs. I'm sure all of us would like to be there. Today is a good day, and let's keep moving forward. Thank you so much.
I just want to give you a hug.
Okay.
Hey guys, we're actually pressed for time, so we are not going to be taking questions. Going further, I bring back Rokana. He's going to do our closing conversation and comments.
Well, thank you, Haley. Teresa is right. It's pretty big what the survivors have accomplished today. And I just want to say how eloquent, strong, and admirable they were. Let's give them a round of applause for their courage. Thomas and Marjorie and I will take a few questions from people who haven't. Yeah. Go ahead.
Is basically right now calling on the Senate to make revisions to this bill because he says it doesn't adequately protect the survivors, the victims that are standing behind you. Your response to that?
That's been a red herring all along. The survivors have always been in favor of this legislation, and there's a provision in there you can read, if he would just read it, that protects them. Now, if he wants to offer more protections in the Senate, that's fine with us, but here's the problem. Now we have to vote on it again in the House. And so, as you heard, justice delayed is justice denied. It could be just another delay tactic. But we want to...
Is that what you think? That's the motivation?
I think the Speaker wants to save face. He's going to vote for a piece of legislation today that he's disparaged for 4 months. And however he needs to come on board, we want him on board. So we appreciate that.
Did you want to? Go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, you know, there's becoming a reckoning in Britain that needs to happen in the United States. A prince lost his title. The ambassador to the United States lost his job. We need to see those same kind of consequences here. As my colleague Rose said, there shouldn't be buildings named after these perpetrators of these heinous crimes. There shouldn't be scholarships named after them. And there needs to be accounting. We've seen tens of thousands of pages released by the Oversight Committee. What we've not seen is a single name. So I implore you to look and see if we have true justice and transparency in here. And the survivors will know when that has happened.
And I do think that Prince Andrew does need to come and testify at our oversight committee, and that can be bipartisan. But I share Thomas's view that the urgency that the British people have shown in getting justice needs to inspire an urgency here in America. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
You don't need legislation to get the files released. President Trump could just release them today.
Well,
Is that frustrating for you? Why isn't he doing that? And also, did you ask him to be here today? It's a really powerful moment in this.
Look, I'll let my colleagues speak. I hope the president meets the survivors, and I hope when he signs the bill, the survivors are there. I don't care if I'm there, Thomas Massey is there, Representative Green's there, but the survivors should be there. But I hope he meets them, because I think if anyone who meets them and sees their emotion will be moved. And my goal is to get justice here. So I hope he will meet them and really hear what's happened and actually take action. But the broader point is, yes, the president could order the Justice Department to release the files, but in a constitutional democracy, what we're supposed to have is Congress says that the files should be released, and then it's not on the whim of any president. Then the Justice Department is compelled to release those files because that's the law of the land.
Let's just take a yeah. So Senator Merkley is a Democrat. He's led the exact same legislation that Roe and I introduced in the House. One Republican co-sponsored his bill yesterday, and I have spoken to at least one more who says they will co-sponsor. The important thing about the Senate is that they need not to muck this bill up. There's a lot of attention on here. We've needlessly spent 4 months dragging this out. A representative, a duly elected representative, was denied her seat in Congress for 49 days, and it's time to pull the Band-Aid off. The Senate, it may be tempting for them to get cute and to do things that will limit the release of these documents. They are afraid that people will be embarrassed. Well, that's the whole point here. They need to be brought to justice, and embarrassment is no reason to stop it. So the Senate, John Thune, it's up to him. He needs to bring this to the floor of the Senate, and I think the vote today will show that in the House.
And the president, look, the president has said he would sign the bill. You're going to get almost a unanimous vote here. So you have the president and a unanimous Congress believing that this protects the survivors and is calling for the release. There's no reason for the Senate now to, as Representative Massey puts it, muck around with it. They need to put it up, have a vote, have the president sign it. If there's any further protections, they can do that through the DOJ process. But what they should not do is delay a vote on a bill that the House is going to vote overwhelmingly for and that the president supports.
Yeah, just go ahead.
Councilman Green, you raised the question of whether or not the Justice Department will actually release these files. Do you take the president at his word when he says he's going to sign this bill, and do you have confidence that these files will actually be released?
I only take people's actions seriously, no longer words.
And what do you think the president's
And I'll tell you, because I wasn't a Johnny-come-lately to the MAGA train. I was day one 2015, and there's a big difference in those Americans and those that decided to support President Trump later on. And I'll tell you right now, this has been one of the most destructive things to MAGA, is watching the man that we supported early on, 3 elections, for people that stood hours, slept in their cars to go to rallies, have fought for truth and transparency and to hold what we consider a corrupt government accountable. Watching this actually turn into a fight has ripped MAGA apart. And the only thing that will speak to the powerful, courageous women behind me is when action is actually taken to release these files, and the American people won't tolerate any other bullshit. That's where we are today. Thank you.
Go ahead. Last, 2 more questions, and then we're around all day.
Is this a watershed? How would you sum up today in terms of your battle to get to the truth?
I would say that these survivors have been fighting for decades, and they finally are being heard by the American people, and we're finally going to have a reckoning for this Epstein class that has gotten away with horrific things. Look, I grew up in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. People went to church, they played Little League, they went to their neighbors for barbecue. They didn't go to a rape island and abuse young girls or traffic young girls. And people with extreme wealth have thought that the laws don't apply to them, and their culture is totally out of touch with the values that built America. And finally, we're going to have a reckoning over it.
How worried are you?
Let's take the lady here.
Let me ask you this. You said you wanted this to go straight to the Senate. What message does it send to the survivors behind you if the Senate doesn't act quickly to move this bill forward?
Well, they're not here. They're not going to answer questions, so I'll answer a question. I prefer, actually, it goes straight to the president. He can release these files without the Senate acting. Sometimes they take a long time to get things done. The House figured out a way to take 4 months to get this done. I think it's disrespectful to the survivors if they delay this. There's nothing more important than cleaning out the rot in this country. And this is rot, and it's not a partisan issue. And the senators need to get on this. Yes, the economy is important. Yes, international policy is important. But there's nothing more important than getting to this rot and cleaning it out. They should put it at the top of their agenda.
As you know, there's a provision in the bill already that would allow the DOJ to not release certain information if it would jeopardize an active investigation. And the president just last week ordered his DOJ to conduct an investigation. What makes you think you would actually, if this bill passes, see these files?
There are 1,000 survivors. They can't open enough investigations to cover up everything that's in these files. And yes, it's true they can try to protect a few certain people or a few certain companies, but those investigations will eventually end. And in the meantime, there's not enough investigations to cover up 1,000 different crimes, 1,000 different rapes, 1,000 different sex trafficking instances. And this is not a moot point, even though they are doing that.
And once this bill is signed into law, any career official at the DOJ or the FBI who does not comply with the law is at legal risk. It's no longer just up to the president.
Look, we could have passed a simple resolution here in the House, and that would have been the end of it. Instead, we chose a very hard path, which is to get legislation, a law passed, which means it has to go through the House, the Senate, and be presented to the president. And that will have the force of law. They will be breaking the law if they do not release these files.
Thank you very much. Last question, and then.
Why do you think he has fought so hard? If he could do it now, why hasn't he done it?
I believe he's trying to protect friends and donors. And by the way, these aren't necessarily Republicans. Once you get to $1 billion, you transcend parties. You just assume you can pay off whatever party is in charge of the White House, whatever party is in charge of the House of Representatives. And this is about those kinds of people. I think he's been trying to protect them. And I think it also incriminates our own government. This is a complete and total failure of the justice system, as the survivors have witnessed here today to us. It incriminates the FBI. It incriminates our intelligence agencies. It incriminates police departments in West Palm Beach. And that's what has been protected by this, either willfully or unknowingly, and it's time to end it.
And I would agree with Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene that what matters now is just the action. I don't speculate on what politicians' motives are or what's in their heart. The point is the American people have spoken, Congress has spoken, release the files. It's time for justice. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Very brave.
Incredible. I appreciated your work very well.
Great. Thank you. I said bullshit on TV the other day, and I love that you just said bullshit. I was like,
Mr. Green, how is it to hear the victims today? Mr. Green, how is it to hear the victims today? Mr. Green? Okay, I see Marjorie. How How did you feel hearing the victims today?